זה הכל בליבות של החיים. ולחיות את הרגע, להתחיל לאסוף את השברים. אולי יותר קצת למעלה, להתחיל להסתדר ולעשות קצת רע, שאולי מקום אחר, מקום יותר מועד, להתחיל קצת לקלקל ולתקן אותה. מה הזמן לסמן? זה הכל שאריות שלך.
Welcome and Tzoraim Tov, everybody. You have been listening to a short clip from one of my favorite Israeli artists, Idan Reichel. The song was Shiriot Shel HaChayim. And I encourage you to listen to more Idan Reichel. My name is Danny Schultz, and on behalf of the Westchester Jewish Council, I am honored to be hosting today's event, part of our WJC very successful monthly Israel Connection series. The WJC, as many of you know, is an umbrella organization representing approximately 135 Jewish groups, schools, and synagogues in Westchester, which is the largest suburban Jewish community in the US, totaling over 150,000 citizens. Friends, as we all know, we are in unprecedented and frightening times. As you know, we have been hit with an unthinkable tragedy of barbaric acts carried out by Hamas on Shabbat morning, October 7th, 2023, the morning of Simchat Torah. And we are in day 187 of this war and hostage crisis. There's much suffering all around. And so before we dive in, and we have a lot to cover, a lot of great stuff to cover, let that all sink in as we share a moment of silence in memory of and in honor of all those lost, captive, and in pain and suffering. And again, we still have approximately 135 hostages to bring home. A moment of silence. Thank you. So today, I am not just happy, I am thrilled to be welcoming as our guest, Archie Gottesman. Welcome, Archie.
Thank you so much.
You are very welcome. Archie is the co-founder of JewBelong.org, a groundbreaking organization and web-based platform originally focused on rebranding Judaism to make it a more warm, relevant, and welcoming religion for all, really, no matter where they are on their Jewish journey. Since May of 2021, JewBelong has also pivoted a bit, raising awareness about the evils of anti-Semitism through their billboard and digital campaigns. JewBelong's very bright pink, not just bright pink, very bright pink billboards with messaging like, let's be clear, Hamas is your problem too, and I need to be able to tell my children I did not stay silent, have been in over 30 states and are laser focused on getting out of the Jewish echo chamber and speaking plainly and in memorable sound bites to the other 98% of Americans who are not Jewish. Archie is also a graduate of Northwestern with a degree in communications, and she played lacrosse for Northwestern too. She resides in New York City with her husband, and they have 3 daughters, one who was a Chayal Bodedet, one of the lone soldier, and all who went to the Alexander Muss High School in Israel. She's an animal lover. They have 4 dogs. And here are some quick JewBelong stats before we get started. JewBelong has almost 100,000 followers. So our goal today after the call is for the rest of us who aren't followers to follow and pip that over the 100,000 mark. 500,000 downloads of various content and booklets, including a Haggadah. So for those of you interested, go to the site, take a look at the Haggadah, download it. It's great. I already looked at it, and have 60 billboards in, as I said, over 30 states. And most impressively, you do this with a total staff of 7. That's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing. Okay, so Archie, as I do with all our guests at this time, we're now, as I said, in day 187 of this tragedy. Tell us, do you remember where you were that morning and how did you first hear of the attacks?
Yeah, I was home and I have a friend who I have become closer with because we were just because of JewBelong. Like my life, I started JewBelong 10 years ago, and she texted me, did you see what's going on in Israel? And it was on the early side, so I had not seen what was going on in Israel, and I did. And if Leah had reached out, it was something serious because she's a journalist and she's kind of a news junkie, and I just don't. In some ways, I literally feel like my life hasn't been the same since. Like there's just things that I like separate between what happened before and what happened after. It's just, it's mind-boggling. I had not had the chance. I know many times the hostage families have been in the United States, and last night I just got to go see a few family members. They were heading back to Israel last night, and I think about it. I think about it all the time, but somehow seeing them last night it's just incredible. So anyway, yes, my life is pre and post October 7th.
So let's rewind for a second here. And it's incredible what JewBelong has become, but can you tell us what was the inspiration for JewBelong? Is there a eureka moment that you had?
Yeah, I used to live in Summit, New Jersey, and I looked and in Summit, and I'm sure in Westchester, by the way, this is not a unique, and I'm sure all over the country, the world.
Not unique to New Jersey, what you're about to tell us?
Not unique in New Jersey. There are so many people who look at Judaism as like, yeah, I'm kind of Jewish, and I'm not sure, like, or maybe my husband's not Jewish, and like did you know 72% of American Jews marry people of other faiths? And sometimes, and JewBelong looks at that as like, great, there's another potential team member. Like, I'm like, absolutely, like this is, but sometimes people, and by the way, this isn't just because of interfaith marriage, this is just because people kind of get lazy about Judaism. And it doesn't inspire them. So they sort of like, I don't know, I'm sort of Jewish, but I don't really do anything. And I look at Judaism as being a gift. So I was like, how is it that, again, a lot of these discussions happened in Summit. I'm a New Yorker now. But I was like, I don't get it. Why is it that someone who has a very similar upbringing to me, I grew up as a conservative Jew, looks at it as like Judaism is something to sort of drop? And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm just so glad that I'm Jewish. And no matter what people's observancy are. So anyway, this is crazy. We need to do a better job of marketing ourselves, marketing the faith, marketing who we are, marketing what things really mean, because people get very intimidated. So it was literally one walk with a friend, and she was not bringing her children up Jewish. She's Jewish. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh boy, maybe we could do a better job. So instead of getting mad at the people who sort of kind of like apathy their way out, I want to make it something that Judaism is something that people look at as a gift.
I love it. I love that. And when you came up with your idea, how many people told you you're nuts?
I think people just didn't really understand it, because Jews are funny. I mean, and it even happens now. I know we're going to mostly talk about anti-Semitism, but Joyous Judaism is really JewBelong's core, as you mentioned. And like, trust me, everyone listening, there are plenty of Jews who reach out and tell JewBelong like, oh, that's not Jewish enough, or they're doing this, not the way that we would want you to do it. And so I think you have to be brave in Judaism to say, this is a, you know, you are on your Jewish journey, and wherever your Jewish journey feels for you, like that is good. And if people want to do Judaism 4 times a year, JewBelong really focuses on the 3 big holidays, which are Passover, Hanukkah, and the high holidays. So you can split that into 2 if you want. And, you know, Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah. And like, if that's all someone wants to do is the big holidays, like, who am I to say, oh, you have to do more? And maybe they weren't doing anything Jewish and they felt like, great, then a fabulous Passover is amazing. And it is, if it inspires people, then that is a win. And you mentioned it, I just have it right here. This is our Passover Haggadah that Danny mentioned. It is, today literally is the last day to order it because JewBelong, we don't do the printing ourselves. We work with there's a printer, and I just don't want to be responsible if it doesn't get to people on time by the 21st of April. So so today is the last, but you can only, they're free. So you can also go and download it and bring it to Staples too. So it's all our resources are free, but it is so good. It's really welcoming. It's not superficial. It's not like, you know, for 4-year-olds. It's real stuff, but there's a lot of relevancy in it. And this year I'm super excited about, there's a 10 plagues of anti-Semitism in the Passover Haggadah. And we're asking people to bring to on the Seder plate or next to the Seder plate, because most Seder plates don't have space for it, to add a cup of coffee. And then every time you read one of the 10 plagues of anti-Semitism, you take a sip of black coffee. And the idea is to wake you up to the anti-Semitism in the world, because we need it. But there's, anyway, and we've got a high holidays book, because newsflash, not everyone goes to synagogue on high holidays. I happen to go to synagogue. Maybe many of us do on this call, but a lot of people don't. And I don't want to leave them out. I want every single person to be part of, to feel it. Shabbat. Anyway, they're all online, they're all free. And even Thanksgiving, because what better time that to talk about things and Judaism than on Thanksgiving. And mostly everybody does celebrate Thanksgiving. Anyway, so that's, yeah.
So, okay. So before I turn it over to you, and I don't know if you're going to get into this in your presentation, but how do you get your slogans? And I ask you that because, like, do you take submissions? Like, I remember after we met, which was, I think, in December, right? And we kind of had like a Vulcan mind meld of interest. Somebody sent me something or whatever, or I saw something posted, and I immediately like sent it to you, and I was like, this has to be a billboard. So how do you get your submit? You have like a pipeline, you have 50 like in waiting. How do you do that?
Oh, how do we do it? Okay, we think of them all the time, and the answer is yes. Sometimes people text and say, what about this? And then it's like, okay, fine. Like we put it up. We do a lot of, as you mentioned, JewBelong has 7 people. So a lot of times I'll be thinking of them and are just thinking of like a theme. Once in a while we work with a freelancer who just says, you know, who's really good and gets this. It's almost like writing a headline, because a good billboard usually has less than 14 words on it, even better if it has less than 11 words on it. So JewBelong is known for its billboards, which I'm going to show you. But the idea is to get the messaging down to a soundbite. And this is, you know, we're talking about how to get out of the echo chamber, right? The other, those who seek to do harm to Israel and to Jews are very, very good at messaging. They are excellent. And you know, when they say, you know, you're an occupier and you're committing genocide and from the river to the sea, those are messages. And the Jewish, you know, as I just already said, I love being Jewish. This is not a, you know, but we are not that good at messaging. We're very good at saying, here, I'm going to send you a book to read, or read these 4 articles. And, you know, that is not something, honestly, lots of times people are not that interested. They're like, I don't want to read your book. I don't want to, like, they say free Palestine. What do you guys say? And you're saying, read a book. Like, that is not going to work in today's society. It just isn't. And we need to, not for most people. So what we need to do as a, you know, a Jewish community and as our allies, we need to sort of be skilled on that battlefront. There's a lot of battlefronts in the fight against anti-Semitism, and one of them is messaging, and we have just got to get better at it.
Well, listen, on that note, I'm going to turn it over to you for your part of the show. We'll come back and we'll do some more conversation and Q&A, and then we'll open it up to the rest of the family for questions.
Okay, I am gonna. Jerry, it won't let me optimize for video clip, but I guess it doesn't matter. It won't let me click that one. I'm just gonna share some. Sorry, I'm just, all right.
All right.
All right. All right. So here's, I know that this is not Jewish. I just wanted to sort of give a little bit of my, a tiny bit more of my background before starting. Before JewBelong, some of you know, I don't usually show these, but this is like, I feel like this is like a home crowd with me. I used to do the branding for Manhattan Mini Storage for almost more than 20 years. So and that was actually my family's business. So I had billboards all over Manhattan. So I'm just going to show a couple of these because sometimes people say, oh yeah, the JewBelong reminds me of Manhattan Mini Storage. I'm like, there's a very good reason for that. So why leave a city? They used to be they were funny. They were funny. They were compelling. Why leave a city that has six professional sports teams and also the Mets? I just kind of grabbed some of our most popular ones. Let's see. This one, oof, this is timely, huh? Your closet space is shrinking as fast as her right to choose. That we did in, that was literally in the 90s. If you don't like gay marriage, don't get gay married. It was interesting, and that was in 2008. We did that. But this was funny because I don't love museums. New York City has almost 100 museums, and you don't have to go to any of them. Material possessions won't make you happier. Maybe they will. And this is the last one I'm going to show you. The reason, what I was learning, and I'm showing these because, again, this is my background, but at Manhattan Mini Storage, I learned to talk to New Yorkers like, I got you. Like, I know you. I get it. I'm a New Yorker too. And I want to, it's sort of like, and people love that in branding. They love to be like, oh, this company gets me. It's funny. And if they need storage, they'll go to Manhattan Mini Storage. And so, okay, JewBelong. That's Gary. That's my husband. That's me. We were married in 1993. And Danny, although my story, the original story, is a lot about Summit, New Jersey, a lot of it is also Gary. Gary grew up United Methodist and he converted to Judaism, oh boy, like about 3 years before we were married. And I also, it was a blessing because I got to see Judaism through Gary's eyes, through the eyes of a rookie. And I really want to say, it is not always about people who are not born Jewish. I know so many people who were born Jewish, two Jewish parents, very, very little Jewish education, and they feel like outsiders too. So we got outsiders all over the place, and we need to sort of help them feel inside. Okay, and we are missing about 50% of America's Jewish community, and the reward is huge, and we need, it's about making the pie bigger. This is an overly simplified version of Jews in America. I'm going to show you some things today. The connect, I want to make the pie bigger. Okay. So if you're connected and you like JewBelong, probably most of us on the phone today are connected on Zoom. That's great. I hope you like what you see. It's important. The Joyous Judaism, observant. Those are people who are like, they probably send their kids to day school, maybe to Jewish camp, like everything in their lives is practically Jewish. But the DJs, the disconnected Jews, that's my target audience for the Joyous Judaism. Okay. We need more DJs to feel like they're part of us. You could say, okay, Archie, how do you find these DJs? And it's a very, very tricky question because they're not going to Westchester Jewish anything. Okay. They're not joining a federation. They're not going to Hillel at college. They are living their lives and they're pretty happy because they've opted out of Judaism. So how do we find them? We find them with billboards. And I showed you before, I know my way around a billboard. So what we do is we've advertised with Joyous Judaism billboards across the country. We don't care which half of you is Jewish. And then people go on our website. As Danny mentioned, we have about 500,000 people who go on and download our stuff every year, and they use our booklets. Very simple. We bacon. God has other things to worry about. JewBelong. So people say, "Oh my God, this is an organ." They kind of get me. Even if you think Kugel size is an extra, even if you think Kugel is an exercise for your vagina, JewBelong. Judaism, come for your girlfriends, stay for the lack of hell. Free wedding. We have lots of a wedding booklet, like sweet, like really, really nice. So people's like, this is, that's literally how we find them. And this is a page from the website. You can all go on. I hope you do. And I do hope that you sign up for our emails. And have you ever asked yourself, why be Jewish? Us too. Short answer is Judaism is a somewhat easy and time-tested way to add meaning and connection to your life. But yeah, Judaism can be more complicated than your last girlfriend. That's where JewBelong comes in. Think of us as a friendly, kind of funny kid from geometry class who explained in simple language and without judgment only what you need to know for the test. And that's what this is. And then we talk about a word that we made up called Jewberrisment. We promise to never Jewberris you. Jewberrisment is, I hope you guys, I rarely speak to people who don't know what Jewberrisment is. That's when you're more Jewish than me and I feel like Jewberris. That means if someone is, let's say I happen to drive on Shabbat and they say, and they're like, well, I could come to your house, Archie, or no, you can come to my house because I don't drive on Shabbat. They didn't say I'm a better Jew than you, but there's some words in my head or voice in my head saying, she's a better Jew than you, Archie. Like, you're a little Jewberris. And Jewberris can come from anything. It can come from what we're eating. If someone is not kosher, they're like, I'm not kosher. Like, Jewberrisment can be a very, very debilitating thing for people even with a Jewish education. And in JewBelong, we really want to sort of say, you know what? Like, it's okay. We're almost all Jewberris. Sorry, what were you going to say?
No, nothing. All good.
Anyway, so we want people to focus on the good parts, not the intimidating. Judaism can be very intimidating with its, with our Jewberrisment. And we want people to be able to focus on the good parts. These are our booklets that I showed, and they're free, and you just download them from the website, or you can buy them from a printer. Okay, that's now we're going to get into the anti-Semitism.
Yeah, that was the fun stuff.
Now the fun stuff. And it's really important. I did not start JewBelong. I never mentioned anti-Semitism on the website. It literally wasn't. It was in a drop-down menu, a paragraph about anti-Semitism. The world changed in May of 2021 in a very specific way. Anti-Semitism, that was the last Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and online people started to become very anti-Semitic. This is online. We mostly JewBelong lives online. We don't have a building. We don't hold events. And I want to show you what's going now, not just online. I want to show you some of the billboards that are across the country. And this is just a couple compared to what's out there. Okay, this one is, remember the other day, that guy, Aaron Bushnell, literally lit himself on fire and died. This is over in California. I will no longer, basically holding him up as a hero. The man had such mental instability and in trauma, and this is being held up as something proud. Israel killed 10,000 children with our tax dollars. Ceasefire now. Israel bombs hospitals. Biden pays for it. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. You guys have all heard this hundreds of times. This was in Nevada. This one's in Seattle. Equal rights for Palestinians. Stop funding Israeli military. Stop billions to Israel. All Americans struggle. We give Israel $3.8 billion every year. This is just a fundraiser. These are constantly because, again, those who seek to do us harm they have a lot of money and they're raising money. And here's a little bit of a clip.
That's Australia?
Yeah, I'm going to just play it. I'm just going to press play.
Yeah, fire away.
I got me, hold on.
If you want more proof of just how anti-Semitic society is becoming, check out this. Ami Horowitz asked university students in San Francisco if they'd donate money to help kill Jews. Have a look at the response.
We want to fund operations against schools, hospitals, Jewish cafes, Jewish buses, synagogues, that kind of attack blow things up, blow shit up.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we have to strike back.
Yeah.
We can't
No, I
allow-
definitely keeping them controlled with like genocide.
Their behavior and the actions are evil.
I would love to help.
You want to spread the word too?
Spread the word for sure.
I don't have money to give, but if you need word
But
of mouth,
moral support you can give me.
yeah,
And just spread the message.
like promotions, like putting on a story or something.
How much money would you be able to?
Like $5.
Also $5? Like $5.
$5?
But yeah, 5, 10.
Probably like $5.
$5 is great. 10?
Yeah, like 5 to 10.
Like $15 right now.
Say $15.
That'd be amazing.
Like $15, $20 probably.
That'd be great.
Cool 20.
20? Come on, brother. Come on, brother.
I don't really have a job right now, so
Okay.
I would do like maybe $20.
$20.
I did 20.
$20.
If you want more
Okay. Did you guys get that? That was in California. That's like the raising money to do harm to Jews. Like it's, I could show this bad stuff all day, but I don't want to. I mean, I don't want to. It's not what it's about. I want to talk about fighting back, but it's really important because not everyone sees what JewBelong sees. We see this constantly. We get a lot of hate. JewBelong in the ovens. I'm saying 6 million seems like a bit much. A lot of Holocaust denial on that JewBelong receives. Jews belong swinging from ropes and burning in raging inferno, nothing else. Zionists belong back in the gas chambers. JewBelong. Y'all commit war crimes every day and want the world's sympathy. Burn in hell. I hope you burn again in life. It used to scare me a lot, to be perfectly honest. And Danny, maybe we talk about this later. But I feel like, you know what? This is what we have to do. We have to fight. We cannot shy away. There's people who hate us, and we need to fight back. A lot of people. I urge you, if you're on Instagram, follow some of the anti-Israel, anti-Jewish organizations, because you really want to. I like to see what my kids see. I want to see what they're seeing. Otherwise, I feel like I'm not equipped to have the conversations.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
a lot of this stuff.
Getting out of the echo chamber is very important. Just pack a case of Xanax along with you. But yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Or call me or call Danny and we'll commiserate. So anyway, you see these: cry out against ethnic cleansing, free Palestine, defending your home is not terrorism. A lot of this saying the irony of becoming what you once hated, saying that Jews are Nazis. By any means necessary. That's clearly, violence by any means necessary. The one on the left, this crazy social justice bundling, saying that if you believe in Black Lives Matter and freedom of a woman's right to choose, you also obviously have to believe in free Palestine, that intersectionality, which is really, really dangerous. So I hate that. And treatment from IDF, they're saying, is really mean. And treatment from Hamas is so damn nice. So this is just, I urge you, see what's out there. Okay, fighting back. Here we go. Now I'm going to show you what we're doing. I don't need people to like it. I need people to read it. I need people to stop hating Jews.
Oh, don't be naive. Hamas would chop your head off, too.
People like to think that this is just a Jewish problem, and they don't realize it's starting with the Jews in Israel. Hamas doesn't like Americans. They don't like the Western way of life. And that is what this billboard is saying.
Joining us today is the organization's founder, Archie Gottesman.
We live in a world where message matters. If we had just said, stop anti-Semitism, you might not notice it. Silence does not help a cause. Silence is dangerous when it comes to hate. It's clear that didn't happen in the 1930s in Europe for Jewish people. It's not going to happen now.
You've seen the big billboards on trucks as they move through our area.
Can a billboard end anti-Semitism? No, but you are not a billboard.
The message is also being spread in Spanish.
I want people to be like, what did that just say?
Archie Gottesman is the architect of the campaign and has a specific goal for people who see the billboards.
And to speak out and to be an ally to the Jewish community, because we need it. We're good allies for other groups, and it is a time for others to be an ally to the Jewish people.
We just got to stick together. No matter what race you are, we're human. That's it. We're human.
I think the idea is great for New York, especially in such a diverse area.
We have to live together. No more discrimination.
Reaction to a new billboard campaign in Times Square to fight anti-Semitism. Powerful messages, including...
It's just 75 years since the gas chamber. So no, a billboard calling out Jew hate is not an overreaction. Anti-Semitism is growing in America at ridiculously high rates. Anti-Semitism is rising in the United States. It's rising in Tampa, Florida.
The 3 billboards in Nashville read, "Let's be clear, Hamas is your problem too." JewBelong says for both sides, Hamas, a labeled terrorist group by the United States, is the enemy.
I would say this about any marginalized group in America, that just because it's difficult doesn't mean that Americans can't have real conversations about it.
Are you done, or is your group going to put up more billboards?
We are so not done. We are going to go across the country with billboards. Americans need to understand this is not a Jewish problem. This is not an Israel problem. This is an American problem. They are fighting a holy war. They don't like the Western way of life, and it is everyone's problem if Israel does not defeat Hamas and do it soon. It has been deadly, and it'll be deadly again unless people stand up for justice. Okay. So that is, I don't need, and I'm just going to show you a few more of our billboards because, and the cool thing about billboards is they get on the news. That's one of the tricks of the billboards, which I'll talk about in a minute. We saw that one. I like to show this one because JewBelong is a really good collaborator. Maybe there's some collaboration we can do up in Westchester. This was Dallas reached out to us, the Federation, and they said, we want some billboards, and JewBelong is a nonprofit, okay? And we said, great, can you guys raise the funding and we'll find the billboards. We're very good at finding cheap billboards, but not free. And they did. And we went out to Dallas and had a really, really good campaign because we got a lot of press. It's a lot of this game is getting into the press. Being woke and anti-Semitic is like being a vegan who eats meat. I like this one especially because guy's not Jewish, the man who owns the boat. And he reached out, he's in Miami. He said, I have a boat, it's a billboard boat. If you send me the art, I'll put it up on my boat, which was really nice. For 1.6 million people who didn't compute hateful comments would lead anywhere. I mean, that speaks for itself. Spanish, we already mentioned that. We were in Florida. Cultural Jews died in the gas chamber to speak up. Hugely, hugely important. Also this one, you don't need to be a Jew to protect Jews. We test all of our messages, by the way, very important. Jew hate isn't dangerous. Try wearing a yarmulke. This one tests the best. There's a reason that JewBelong is putting this one across in most places. Right now, we've been in 31 states so far across the country, but this one, when so many Jewish organizations were putting up pictures of the hostages, and trust me, I think about the hostages all the time, but that was no longer resonating with 98% of our country that is not Jewish. Right. I am not interested in talking to what the Jews are worried about, which is hostages, as we should be, and so should other people, by the way, but they're not. The data says what the Americans tend to worry about. Some of them realize that Hamas is an enemy to all of us, and that's why this is a very, very important message that we need to keep driving home. We have a truck because a lot of times we want to go to the campuses. They are their own hell. And I'll show you a cute video about our truck.
Archie, is that one truck or you drive?
That's a great question. So Danny, the way that it works is we don't own the truck, but we rent it. So we've had 2 at the same time, but recently there's a guy in where is he? Chicago. And he said, I bought a truck. I'm gonna put up messages. And he so we sent him the art. Again, we just send the art. This is not that complicated. And he's put it on his truck. He also has other stuff on. He has some I think he has some ADL stuff on there. I think he might have some, craft stuff on there. But it's so there can be, it could be 50 trucks. It really just is a matter of who's out there. But this is the truck can be real powerful, especially again for the non-Jewish audience. Okay, and I'm just going to show this and talk about this for a minute. Why do billboards work? And maybe what else do is stop screening and be able to talk about these a little bit, or stop sharing for a second. Is why do billboards work? Because I really feel like I like to make a little eye contact. Okay.
Yeah, and on that note, I was wondering, like, if you had to start, which I think I know the answer to this, but if you had to start again today, would it be with billboards, given everything that's happened with social media? But I do get your point about the effectiveness of billboards, but what do you say to that?
Okay, the reason that 100%, I would say billboards, maybe it sounds a little bit old school, but the reason that sometimes old school can be the best school. Here's the story with both billboards and social media. And we are on social media a lot. That's how we do our testing, is we throw it up on social media, and you can literally, the data starts coming in immediately. Do people like it? A lot of engagement or no engagement. If there's a lot of engagement, it's good. If there's no engagement, it's not a very good line. But this is the thing. We live in our own little news silos. We all live in our silos. Like if let's say I watch CNN and you watch Fox and you watch MSNBC and you only get your news on CBS. And then I might read the New York Times and you're reading USA Today and you're reading the Wall Street Journal and someone else is reading the Washington Post, or they're in LA and they're reading the LA Times, wherever. We literally, and then we also have our own telephones. So my Instagram feed and Facebook feed and Twitter feed are all very different than yours, because my algorithm is feeding me the information that it knows I want to see, and the ads I want to see. So I'm literally living in a different reality than you are, because I've just gotten my news at CNN, and you got your news at Fox. So we are literally living in different news silos. Right. How do you break out of those news silos? One of the only ways is outdoor advertising, because mostly everybody does get into a car or walks down the street and sees the billboard. That's why the other side is using billboards so much too, because they get it. They're not stupid. They realize, like, they're trying to sort of change really America's point of view about Israel, which of course is allowing for the rise in anti-Semitism. And they're doing that in a very, very clever, way. And billboards really, really work. So the only way to break out of our, oh my God, it's not what I read on my.
Yeah. So let's talk about campuses maybe for a second.
Sure.
And what we'll do maybe is, you and I'll chat a little bit. I got some other questions, as you know, that we've discussed, but we do have people populating our chat windows here, so we'll hit those as well. But let's talk about campuses for a second. How many campuses have you been to? Is there a way to expand that? I like the general population ones, but it looked to me like the campus ones really are super appreciated by the students. So I don't know, tell us.
Yeah, so campus is very important. It is not only important though. The campus, I say it in this, and I just want to, is that campus is a very crowded space right now. There are a lot of really good organizations who are there. There's, Hillel, Chabad, there's some APACs on campus. There's something called Maccabee Task Force. So it is a crowded space. And so sometimes what I like to do with JewBelong is say, okay, listen, if that's crowded, I don't need to add to the crowd. I want to sort of speak again to the non-converted, so to speak, and so therefore,
I'm going to say something to you, though. I'm going to interrupt you. I'm going to say that I think on these campuses, I'll give an example of someone I know down in Florida who in the 60s was a major peacenik hippie freak, and is now a more of a Republican follower and voter. And my point is that there are many, many people, I think, walking around campuses who don't even know yet who they are or what they are. And I wonder if the billboards, like the Hamas is, don't kid yourself, Hamas is your problem too, or what have you. Like there's a whole other constituency, as you said, the other 98% of Americans, and all these students who are getting competing messages. So I agree with you. You got ADL there, you got Chabad, but certainly I'll tell you, like my son and stepdaughter at Indiana. The Chabad there needs help as much as they can get. So anyway, I just put it out there. I think your messaging is kind of unique and interesting, and would get sponged in, it would get soaked up, I think, by a much broader constituency than just the Jewish students on campus, I suspect.
Yeah, it's 100%. Remember, we're not the Jewish students reached out and they say, "Oh my God, this felt like a big pink hug. Thank you so much for coming." But what they also say is the people be like, "Can you wait here? My friend is in class. And she wants to see this or he wants to see this." And lots of people take pictures. Truth is, this is so important to remember. Most people don't hate Jews. Truth is, most people don't care. Okay. Most people don't care about this issue. This is like, so we are constantly, and I'm going to show them, I'll just share the screen in a few minutes, a little bit more. We're getting a lot of love letters too. A lot of people love what, non-Jews love what JewBelong is doing.
Right.
It's just that the angry, fringe they're very scary, and they're very good at what they do. And they sometimes make it seem bigger. I would say there's probably, JewBelong calls it the mushy middle. So there's, let's say 10% really hate us, 10% love us, or, are real allies. It's that mushy middle. That's who we need to be talking to. That is why it is so important to keep the messaging short and succinct. And also remember, not everyone hates Jews. Most people don't care. Like, that's the thing. Like, they're just living their lives. Isn't that funny? I mean, people, it's easy to forget that sometimes.
Yeah. Okay, so let's hit some of the questions here. First of all, one question is there, I guess, is there your favorite list of, anti-Jewish, anti-Zionist Instagram accounts to follow? Ron, I will tell you, I follow many. I can send some to you. But
the best thing to do, honestly, I have a list, and rather than put it out now, I will get if you would email, there's hello@JewBelong. Carrie, who's on with me, we will email you that list that you should follow. It's going to be long. I wouldn't follow all. Take a look and see which ones resonate.
I think for those of you who want, if you just in Instagram in the search button put in the word Gaza or Palestine, you'll be more than satisfied with what you can do there. But I'm sure there are many others. Okay, great question, Dave Mouchman. Any plans for the Israel Day Parade?
No, we were in it before. I'm going to bring this up, and it was fine. It just out of the echo chamber, out of the echo chamber. And again, if the truck happens, a little bit like, kind of how might be too much detail, but basically, if the truck was going to be around and it was, yes, we would go because it's nice to feel the love. But again, I would rather, we did go to Indiana, by the way. And so, yeah, we were there, and Indiana had its very first, Indiana University had its very first Palestinian week. The other week, someone reached out, they wanted to bring the truck to, and buy some billboards in.
Were you in Indiana this year?
Yeah, I'll send you the pictures.
Get out of here.
And and Franklin and Marshall, Franklin and Marshall is a small liberal arts college in Pennsylvania. Big Palestinian week, huge problem.
By the way, Sarah Lawrence, right here in Westchester.
Actually, I want to talk about this a little bit, if it's okay. Is the way that JewBelong is funded, because we are a nonprofit, is that Gary and I mentioned my husband before. We're very lucky. We're so lucky to be able and fortunate to be able to fund all of the overhead. So, and it's a lot. There's 7 people working here, and it's a full-time, everything having to do with running the company, the organization, that's my dime. And it runs, this is family. I'm going to tell you all, it runs about $2 million annually. It's a very big project. I believe this. I am putting my money where my mouth is in a huge way. But, billboards are expensive. So when someone says, this happened recently, they said, I really want you to put some billboards up in Boston. And this woman, she's fabulous. She's like, I don't want to just put them in Boston. I want to be in Boston and Andover and Cambridge. And she had a whole list. And a billboard, for rule of thumb, is about $10,000 average. Some can be a lot more.
For what? For months?
A month.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you.
So a billboard is, and usually we like to rent the vinyl billboards. I think they're better than digital because they're up all the time for
I was
obvious
going to
reasons.
ask you that actually. Okay, glad you
Yeah,
mentioned
much better. So I said, okay. And this woman is, she was able to, oh boy, I think she donated about $200,000, and
Wow.
she also wanted the truck. And we were able to go in lots of those suburbs and downtown Boston too. And really, we got, and also a lot of press, because this is also a lot about getting press. So sometimes the way we decide where to put the billboards can be donor specific if there's enough for a campaign, and otherwise we might go where we know there's a lot of anti-Semitism, which
Sure.
at this point it's everywhere. Or sometimes we will go where we know we can just get on the news. We work with a PR agency, who's great. And they say, you know, let's go, you know, go to a certain place. So we'll do that. I just want to share something and show you a little bit about some of the stuff that's happened to our billboards. So
yeah, because there was a question about whether billboards or even the trucks have been vandalized.
Yep. Oh boy, glad you asked. So here, so you see, you understand why
Sure.
it's so important.
Yes.
Wait, all right, let me. Okay. Yeah, this is one example of. I'm just going to show you a few different examples of when we've been vandalized. Look what they did. They literally went and got pink vinyl and in our font and made it Jews for Free Palestine. This was in Northern California. And every time, this was in Oakland, California, painted over. It's a real paint. Not only is it expensive, but I always worry that the billboard companies are going to stop taking our ads because it's so, you know, this is happening a lot of places.
So have you had that? Have you had refusal for a billboard from billboard companies, or is it a municipal thing, or?
No, we've had refusal. This was right near Georgetown. Some gun threw a rock at the truck. And yeah, let me just show you. Let's see if there's any more. Oh my God, sorry. I'll tell you the answer in 1 second. This guy literally ripped down the billboard in Nashville, Tennessee, cut it up. Was those things say something about resistance, and was trying to sell pieces of the billboard online for $50 each. We had to reach out to PayPal and tell them that, you know, it's illegal to sell stolen property. And these are some of the places we've been. And let me just see if there's, I'm going to talk about that in a minute if we get to the impact. But anyway, what was your question, Danny? You said, are we allowed to go anywhere? Oh, no. Billboard companies can say no anytime they want. We've tried to get on the MTA in New York City and on BART in California and the L, and no, it's
and you were denied?
Yeah, we were rejected. We get rejected.
Why? What do they give a reason? Do they have to give a reason? Do they?
They don't. So the billboard companies that the creative lines that have been rejected, they just don't want to. They don't want them. They don't have to tell you why. They're a private company. You know, the Clear Channel, the Outfront Media. They just don't want to take it. Now they are where we are doing most of our advertising, and that line, "Let's be clear, Hamas is your problem too," is accepted, and it can go up now. I think Lamar is a company that won't take that line. You know, it's such a crazy world right now. People are very worried. Yeah, so that's one of the reasons that.
Hey, one quick question. Well, there's several quick questions. I think we got some great ones here, but I guess, so you went with pink. I think we all love the pink. There is a question of why not blue? Is it blue for Jew? Is that what you're saying, Judy? I don't know, but was blue ever considered?
Yeah, so like, but there's like a
Pink's
little
good.
bit, it's a little bit nothing against blue. I know it's the Israeli flag, and I know it's, you know, the blue square and all that. It's just something a little different. JewBelong likes to be a little bit disruptive. That's all, something different.
Now, some of the clips I saw, you were on Fox. Have you, and maybe I'm wrong, I may have missed it, but have you been on, let's say, I don't know, someone's asking, you know, could you or would you do an appearance on, say, News Nation with Chris Cuomo or Dan? I can't remember his name, the guy who runs
I'm a huge fan of Chris Cuomo.
Right. Or even, you know, have you been able to get into CNN at all? Out of
Never
curiosity.
been interviewed on CNN, been on CNN in the articles, never on TV. I look at it like this. I mean, within reason, Jewish people like this, we need to like find our friends where we can find our friends. Like, I just cannot be like, I'm not going to be like standoffish about where we might find allies. I think that probably.
Oh no, I don't see why you wouldn't go in any of those. Sure.
Yeah, no. So the answer is yes, but it's like I thought a lot about it, and I'm like, yeah, and I think a lot of us feel that we thought that our allies were going to be there for us.
So one of my questions, it was interesting. You had Sky Australia doing a piece on California. Have you had billboards in, let's say, the UK, where that would be that'd be an interesting place to have, or France, or have you thought about that, or that's a little too complicated at the moment? Not from a point of view. I mean, just logistically, or I don't know. Is that easy enough to do?
It would be easy. I mean, just obviously in France, you'd have to just make it in French. We've been in Cape Town, South Africa.
Okay.
Because there was a real estate owner who reached out and he said, the anti-Semitism's bad. I don't need anything from you except your creative and your permission. And I'm going to build my billboard and put it up on my building. So he did that. We've been in Toronto and Montreal, and I would love to go to the UK. And I mean, we are an American 501c3, but I would work with another organization to be able to do that. So I think this is a worldwide, it is a worldwide problem.
If people had billboard ideas, where do you want them to send their one-liners?
Hello at JewBelong.
All right.
Hello at JewBelong I would love them. I would absolutely love them. And if they know somebody else, like I know you guys taped this and could share this about it, but we really I've done sort of similar, but not with you, Danny, you're the best, because it's really nice to have a conversation. The other ones were like me just talking, but I do have sort of a presentation similar to a lot of what we saw today on screen. And sometimes people will, we send that out. We have decks about the about the billboards and things like that. So thrilled to get anyone. Hello at JewBelong is great. And if someone wants to donate and wants to say, maybe there's an idea up in Westchester where you guys want to crowdsource and say, we want to raise the money and have a campaign up here. There's highways up there. And we're very open. We're small. So we're sort of flexible to really good ideas just to get the word out there.
Yeah. And your board, just so everybody knows, like you don't have a 20-person board of people arguing. This is your board. I mean,
no, we have a very, very small board. It's still a small, it's still like a founder organization. So we have a great board, but it's very much like, I mean, we've had to flex and just be able to pivot so much, even in the last 6 months, to be like, So we need to be able to do that and be able, and sometimes people, I don't know if it's been any of the questions that you've received today, but once in a while people say, well, when are you going to just go back to Joyous Judaism? And I would love to go back yesterday to just Joyous Judaism, but that's not what this time is asking us to do. I think everybody as a Jew or an ally, our time now is to stand up proud and, angry if anger helps, or whatever, motivating, or remembering what our ancestors did before. And they had very hard, they had it very, very difficult. And this is our difficult time. So like, this is what we have to do. Like, no one asked for this. Israel didn't ask for this. Jews walking around. I mean, I live in New York City, and sometimes I'm a little nervous with my star on the subway or walking around. I mean, I talked to a guy who wears a yarmulke. Right. He always gets crap for his yarmulke. So now he wears a baseball cap over his yarmulke.
Yeah, no, I've definitely heard of people who've said they have been cautious in doing that. All right, let's hit a few more questions here. So, I just had one in front of me that I thought was a goodie, and yes, TV advertising. So obviously people have seen Kraft's work on, the Super Bowl, etc. Have you thought about any?
It's a little bit,
2 second, that makes a fast impression.
It does. We haven't done it. I never say no to anything. It's a little bit expensive. We raised about 4 million last year. I was just talking about when I was talking about budget before. So 4 million is not enough to have a really good. We make a huge splash, by the way, with our 4 million in billboards.
Right. And
so right now we thought about radio out west. Apparently that's but right. not yet. So we might, but right now we're going to stick to the billboards. Besides, we're the only ones in this space, really. Like I'm always a little surprised that other Jewish organizations are not doing this. I think they should. I want more. Like I want there to be lots and lots of Jewish groups out there fighting anti-Semitism with their type of branding.
Yeah.
So JewBelong is right now, we're sort of in that space. I think it's just such an important space. I don't want to get out of it because then I don't think anybody will be in it or not enough.
Great point. Hey, on the UK, somebody made a great point that reaching out to the Jewish Board of Deputies in the UK is a great idea. So we can talk about that certainly offline after this. Yeah, Stu's asking a great question about any work or contact either from the Israeli, I don't know, the consulate or IDF spokespeople or what have you, or the other way around, reaching into them to say, we could help you with your messaging.
Me reaching out to them or them reaching out to me?
Well, both. Either way, has anybody ever said, boy, we could really use your creativity or ingenuity, or vice versa?
A few years ago, I was in touch with there was a group that was trying to sort of talk to Israel about branding, and they just really weren't receptive to it. And it wasn't just, also the heat wasn't really high then. I would say right now, Israel is, I think they're just, I personally don't think that they are doing very well with their PR. But I just don't know how to change that. I know that many people agree. I don't know the right people.
So we had a guy on, Ben Rosner, a few months ago. So we'll do a separate connection, and maybe we can start a conversation there about how to be more effective. Now, I do want to, if we go back just 1 second, there was a question. I can't.
Totally. I just know where, I just want to stick these in the last little bit. Follow us on Instagram because I know we're running out of time. And I just don't want people to think it's all negative. Like, people love it. People say it made my week, and they huge. We had so much love. Every city in America needs the billboard, every highway.
Yeah.
We need 10,000 more billboards at least. We do get a lot of love from people who are not Jewish. I'm personally not Jewish. I can't stand how and why this Holocaust happened. I was so happy when I saw JewBelong spreading awareness. My husband and I are not Jewish, but you're kind of making us want to be. We saw your commercials.
That's great.
We get so much. These are just a couple of examples I wanted to just share today. That's our financial thing again. Basically, you don't have to give $10,000 for a billboard, by the way. You can give any amount because we get so many donations for $18. They add up. I mean, that's really, really, really important that, so it's all over the place.
We should definitely follow up with the local Hill here about, Sarah Lawrence and SUNY Purchase and some other stuff. So we can do that separately. I don't want to leave out Bruce Siegel, if you're still on. Bruce asked a question, which I don't really know how it fits into what we're doing here at JewBelong. So Bruce, I'll just tell you that I'm happy to have a separate conversation with you. If you don't agree or support, Israel and the Israeli government's actions in some way, that's cool. We got a lot of people on this call. And not everybody's a Netanyahu fan for sure. Most of my Israeli friends are not, but that doesn't mean they are not all united in, destroying a terrorist organization on their doorstep. But
that's a really.
Bruce, I'm happy to welcome your outreach.
Yeah, but it's really, really important that Netanyahu's going to come and Netanyahu's going to go. Netanyahu's come for a long time, but he's going to go at some point. Israel is going to change governments. This is not a governmental issue. And if you'll notice, almost all of our billboards are about anti-Semitism, except the one about Hamas. Need to be clear, Hamas is your problem too. The other ones are about anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is not, Israel is not part of this discussion if he could be gone. Anti-Semitism is still here in New York. It's here. It's in Westchester. It's in Indiana. It is all over the country, and it is a problem. So I don't want to, I think sometimes we tend to sort of, well, let me talk about like Israel can be a distraction, and it shouldn't be a distraction. Anti-Semitism is outrageous. It is being accepted by so many other marginalized communities that they would never accept it if this was anti-Black or anti-Asian or anti-Hispanic, and they are letting it happen in America. So I just feel like getting distracted with an Israel discussion it's not helpful to make sure that we are being safe for our kids, because I'm not planning to move to Israel anytime soon. And I don't know if any of you are, but if you want your children and your grandchildren to be able to be proudly Jewish, then you better worry about anti-Semitism here and do not let them get you distracted with what is going on in Israel. I feel that to the bottom of my bones. It happens all the time. It's like, don't let them do that. Worry about it. You're allowed to be a proud Jew in America. We've added a lot to this community, and how dare they make us feel like we can't be proud. And that last billboard that I showed, the one that said, I need to be able to tell my children I did not stay silent. I remember asking my grandmother and my grandfather and my parents, like, what were you guys doing during the Holocaust? Because I was learning about it as a kid. And like, the answers were not that satisfying. Like, they didn't know that, and I kind of feel like I kind of get it. It's hard to do something, but all of us can do something. Like, if you're on this call today, you can do something. You can talk about it. You can get a billboard. You can talk. Like, it is incumbent that this is our moment. Like, if someone says, what were you doing in, what are we in April of 2024 to fight anti-Semitism? If it's my grandchild, I don't have grandchildren yet, but if they're looking at me, so I want to have a freaking better answer than I didn't like Netanyahu. Like, that's not an answer. An answer is I'm fighting for Jewish people, and I'm fighting for you to be a proud Jew. If that's, in your,
well said. Well said. Well, thank you. I am going to say this will be for everyone who's registered. The recording will be made available, because I know some of you who I guess are not on anymore. Well, if you dropped off, you will get it. And if you joined late, you will get it as well, as long as you registered, which you did. And then the other thing I want to point out to the remaining listeners here is that we're very fortunate for our next show. We will be having Professor Shai Davidai from Columbia University. And
he's amazing.
He's amazing. He's fantastic. We will get the word out sometime soon. But make sure you're with us for that show, as I now call it. And to everybody, have a very happy, sweet, safe, and peaceful Passover. And may we see all the hostages come home.
If I can, I want to thank Danny. Hi, everybody. Elliot Forsheimer with the council. Want to thank Danny, who's become a moderator in chief for so many of these sessions. So thank you, Danny. And Archie, you're on a journey from Summit, New Jersey, north into Manhattan, north into Westchester, I'm hearing. So we have a welcome mat out from you. Come up, spend some time with us. I know you're going to be speaking with our dear partners at UJA on the 6th of June.
Right.
So we look forward to that. Also, to everybody else out there, this Sunday, anti-Semitism is on the loose at SUNY Purchase. Rachel Klein of Hillel is sponsoring a Jewish festival on Sunday afternoon. All welcome. No cost to go. Read our newsletter tomorrow morning for full details. As Archie said, now is our moment. So Sunday afternoon, in between golf or games or whatever everyone likes, and that's okay, because we have to be joyful in our Judaism. That's really important. Always, always. That's what's going to keep us going, always has. So hope to see some of you on Sunday. Archie, thank you so much. Danny, thanks for all you do. And Helene and Pam, Donna, Lori, behind the scenes for making this work. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Hear, hear. Hear,
Thank
hear.
you so much, Danny. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
All right. Take care.